Sony A1 Mark II is most probably the best camera in the world, but it's not perfect. And I'm happy because I'm gonna save around $4,000. I mean, it costs like 6.5 most probably, but I want to say 4 because I already have Sony A7 Mark IV, I have Sony A7 Mark III, I have Fujifilm X-S20, so I don't feel the need to upgrade, and here's why. And I'm happy. I don't know, what do you think about this t-shirt, about this shirt? I feel like a sailor or prisoner? I don't know, my wife told me that it looks great. Let me know in the comments below if it does look great to you. It's coming back to Sony A1 Mark II. Let's talk about the most important upgrades besides like minor and small things. The main upgrade here is object detection. So you have an AI accelerated camera that actually does have a separate AI processing unit that is responsible for tracking human, animal, bird, insect, car, train, airplane. I mean, what's the difference between animal, bird, and insect? Anyways, it just can detect these objects, and it can automatically choose what kind of objects you see, and that works flawlessly. Second very important, but to me minor upgrade is that you can actually preview LUTs. So if you're using S-Log, you can upload your own LUTs and preview those LUTs. But that's not a big deal because like these features are available in much cheaper Panasonics like S5 Mark II, S5 Mark II X, for example, just to give you an example, and those cameras are way cheaper and give you amazing video making possibilities there. The main upgrade to me, like if you want to switch from A1 Mark I to A1 Mark II, is the screen. Flippy out screen and like vertical screen, horizontal screen, whatever you like it to be, this screen performs awesome, and you can like flip it, tilt it, and shift it up to your taste, right? So that's a great upgrade. The main issue with Sony cameras was the image stabilization. So basically, if you wanted the best autofocus on the market, you just go for Sony camera. Whatever Sony camera you pick, it's just very intuitive, easy to use, and just right there. So Canon, yes, it does have very good autofocus system. Nikon, yes. For example, I've been testing Z8 recently, and it's fantastic, but it's not as intuitive, as helpful as Sony like autofocus is. But where Sony struggled was image stabilization, and now we finally are getting to the point where image stabilization in Sony A1 Mark II is competitive with way cheaper Panasonic S5 Mark II and S5 Mark II X. So this was like, if you want the best image stabilization, something handheld, easy to use, and like almost no need for gimbal, almost because gimbal is like a little different device, like Panasonic was your way to go. Now we have this 8.5 steps image stabilization, and you have like framing stabilizer, dynamic stabilizer, and active mode. So this dynamic and active mode, or dynamic active mode, is the way to go. So this is the best improvement there. You turn it on and you have pretty stable and not that jerky footage. I'm talking about this jerkiness because Sony was always struggling with this jerkiness catching up, you know, and now it starts to perform and on the level with Panasonic. Still not there, but almost there. Now, why do I think this camera is not perfect though? The main reason I think that way is that most users won't need 50 megapixel, won't need 30 frames per second, and the like upgrade when it comes to speed between like this 4 or 5 years apart, I think 4 years apart between A1 and A2 is really minor. You can see this little table here 4 years ago and now. So the buffer did not increase that significantly, speed did not increase that significantly. So most of professional users will still be fine with A1 Mark I. However, that's still not the main point, so keep watching, I'll explain. The main point here is, why do I keep A7 Mark III though I have A7 Mark IV? Because this camera, A7 Mark III, does give me the best dynamic range out of all these cameras that I have. Still, after that many years, because it's 24 megapixel camera. And that's great, and that's why I'm using it for interior photography, because it gives me the best results when there's not enough light, when I need like to shoot against light that is in the window. I'm just using this one because it performs the best. Now, 51 megapixels and this dynamic range that they claim, I don't know. It is awesome at one hand, but for 6,000 I'm not gaining that much. So A7 Mark IV, if you're into I don't know, wedding photography, interior photography, real estate photography, family photography, whatever photography like that I mentioned, and you name it, you are good to go. You have enough megapixels. With 36, as far as I remember, in my A7 Mark IV, you have enough resolution. And even that, I would like A7 Mark IV or even my A7 Mark V when it is released to have little less than 36 megapixels. Let's say 30 megapixels at this gain of extra dynamic range. Now, where A1 of course wins by far is this stacked sensor. And stacked sensor means fast readouts. Fast readouts stands for no rolling shutter or very little rolling shutter effect. So if you know that you need to film something that is fast, something that is moving, like sports photography, like wildlife photography, then A1 can be a very, very good option. There are cheaper options like Nikon Z8 that is also stacked sensor and it's also great and it's wonderful for like wildlife photography, for example, but not that great when it comes to autofocus performance. But you have also like Canon R3 that is wonderful in both categories. Then you have some alternatives. So why am I saying this camera is not perfect? As I mentioned, I would prefer to see less megapixels, more dynamic range, and see for yourself the sample at 3200 ISO, at 6400 ISO. The amount of noise that this camera is producing is more or less on par with my A7 Mark IV, if not better. If not, Sony A7 Mark IV is not better, but you judge for yourself. I didn't do like laboratory tests, but there's not really much benefit for me if I'm shooting mainly weddings, which me and my wife, we do. Like we shoot a lot of engagement sessions, weddings, elopements, this kind of stuff. Then I don't want these huge files to fill my discs. And I want low noise at higher ISO when, you know, it's getting dark and I need to crank this ISO up despite having like very bright lens. It usually is around 3200, 6400. So that's what I'm using in real life. And there's no real benefit to me. And I guess to most photographers and videographers out there, there's not that much benefit. But it's not perfect. So why am I happy that like A1 is not perfect? Well, first of all, because I can save my money and maybe wait until A1 Mark III is released, because like when you look at A7 history, A7 Mark I was a big step, but still there was a lot of imperfections. However, I love this camera. It was much better performer than Canon 5D Mark III, for example. A lot of people switch from this to that system. Then A7 Mark II was not a big step up, and A7 Mark III was revolutionary. So I'm hoping that A1 Mark III will be revolutionary. They will introduce something completely new, something that will make me want to spend this extra money and to grab it. And second reason is because, as far as I know, if you know this channel, I love this guy, Camera Conspiracies, he was supposed to dissolve or something disappear when the perfect camera appears. Oh, man, the guy is safe. It's not perfect camera, at least for me. However, don't get me wrong, it is a great piece of equipment and most probably still one of the best cameras on planet Earth. What do you think about my thoughts? What are your thoughts about A1 Mark II-R? Let me know in the comments below. Please don't forget to subscribe, leave thumbs up. That helps me a lot to grow my channel and it gives me wings, basically. And don't forget to let me know what you think about my t-shirt or shirt. Thanks a lot. Thanks for watching. Cheers.